Hello friends, and welcome to yet another episode from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. 50 years and 2 days ago, NBC aired for the very first time the next episode of the classic Star Trek TV show called The Paradise Syndrome, and these are my honest opinions about it. Well, do you like love stories? Do you like characters acting differently than in the previous iterations? Do you like white people pretending they are American Indians? Do you think that the term American Indian is offensive? Do you like inner monologue in a show in which we have never seen it before? Do you like mind melds? Do you like mind melds which are different than the mind melds we have seen previously? Do you like men with sideburns? Do you like Native Americans portrayed as noble savages? If so, this is an episode for you. I'm not sure if it's an episode I would recommend. I mean, there are things I like about this episode, however, I have many problems with this episode. Nothing major, just a bunch of very minor problems, maybe nitpicks would be a better term. We start directly on location in Franklin Reservoir above LA, which clearly means that this was shot early in production, when they could still afford to go on location, build huge props, and hire some extras. The standard trio of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy beam down to a planet where they suddenly find Earth-like fauna and flora, but what is more surprising, a huge obelisk. It looks like a giant pyramid, and it's covered in weird symbols, but Kirk wants to explore the surroundings a bit more, so they find an even more surprising thing, a group of American Indians living close to a lake. According to Spock, it's a mixture of Navajo, Mohicans, and Delawares, and we are finally told what the hell is going on. An asteroid is on course to the planet, and if the Enterprise crew won't interfere, it will destroy everything alive down there. So they now have 30 minutes of time before they have to go back to the Enterprise and get safely to the deflection point. McCoy suggests that they should warn the natives, but Spock says that they wouldn't understand them anyway, so it's better if they return to the ship and continue as planned. Kirk, who according to McCoy suffers from the Tahiti syndrome, leaves them, goes to the obelisk, climbs on it, calls the Enterprise, when suddenly a trapdoor opens beneath him, he falls down, touches a device, and the device wipes his memory. Okay, where to start? Why are American Indians on a foreign planet? Why is the mission of the Enterprise to deflect the asteroid before it hits the planet? Isn't it a direct violation of the Prime Directive? Also, if they have 30 minutes of time, why do they waste them and beam down? Why are they wasting the precious minutes they could use to fulfill their mission? Why do they let it for the last minute? Why is Kirk fascinated by the simple life? Has he reacted like this before? What sense does the obelisk make? Why is the entrance hidden behind a trapdoor? Which society creates entrances to their buildings like that? What sense does it make to create such a strange entrance? Also, what's the chance that a society which doesn't speak English will use Kirk to Enterprise as the passphrase? Why is there a mind-wiping device as a security system? Does the computer not need some operator? What if the operator accidentally touched it and got his or her memory erased by accident? Are security systems not usually supposed to block the thing they're protecting? Or maybe, kill the intruder? See, this was just a teaser and absolutely nothing in it made sense to me. This is what I meant when I said that there are a huge number of small things which really bother me. McCoy wants to search for Kirk, but Spock is the logical one, so he explains that they simply don't have any time for that. The asteroid is getting closer and closer, even now when they are talking together. See, this is why you should do your work first, and only after your chores are done, you should make this little vacation. But they beam back while Kirk wakes up, not remembering who he is, and this is when the stupid inner monologue starts. Why? You have a competent actor. Why don't you let him simply act? He manages to get out of the obelisk somehow, exactly in the time when the the two young women from the tribe are walking around, and of course, because he is William Shatner, they fall down on their knees in front of him. I'm pretty sure that a lot of young women were kneeling in front of him in the 60s, thinking he's a god because he stepped out of the temple and bring him to the tribe, where he's introduced to the elder named Goro and the medicine man Salish. Back on the Enterprise, Spock orders Scotty to keep the engines at warp 9 to get to the deflection point in time, and back on the planet we see that Salish is the closest we get to an antagonist in this episode. He claims Kirk needs to prove that he's God, because they have some sort of prophecy about a god who would come out of the temple and he should save them when the sky will go dark. Before Kirk manages to somehow reply, a young boy is brought in. He has been caught in fishnets and he drowned. Salish checks him and declares that he's dead. Kirk doesn't like it, so he performs CPR on him, and what a surprise, the boy survives. This impresses the Indians, and they don't need any more proof of Kirk's divinity. They take the badge from the head of Salish, which is the representation of his medicine man status, and give it to Kirk. So Salish is now the official enemy of Captain Kirk. The Enterprise has meanwhile finally gotten to the deflection point, and Sulu tries to deflect the asteroid using the ship's deflector. However, the dilithium crystals fail, so they lose power and don't deflect the asteroid as much as they need it, so Spock comes up with plan B. He orders the Enterprise to be brought in front of the asteroid, and they will retreat until they will restore enough power to destroy it. McCoy thinks that he is endangering the Enterprise, but Spock thinks that they will still have impulse power, so who cares, right? Miramani, the priestess who found Kirk, the daughter of the chief, and the formerly planned wife of Salish, meets her planned husband by the river and tells him that she doesn't want to marry him anymore, because he isn't the medicine man anymore, and because the priestess must, according to their customs, be the wife of the medicine man, she must now marry Kirk. You know, I know that Salish is supposed to be the villain of this episode, but to be perfectly honest, I feel for him. Some weirdo comes to their tribe, steals his job, steals his position, and now he steals his woman. He does have all the right to hate Kirk. Miramani, meanwhile, continues to bond with Kirk, and it looks like she doesn't really want to marry him just because it's her duty. She really seems to fall in love with him. And I admit that they have a very good chemistry together. I bet that their relationship will have a happy ending, right? She explains to him that they expect him to save them when the sky darkens. Every medicine man apparently knows how to get inside the temple and to activate the blue beam, which will save them, but the father of Salish died before he could share the secret with his son, so now they're screwed. The elder interrupts them and wants to know how Kirk is called, and he assumes that he is named Kirok, who apparently is an existing god from their mythology, if I understood the scene correctly. Meanwhile, on the Enterprise, they try to destroy the asteroid using the ship's phasers, but they fail even with that plan. So now Spock starts to be obsessed with the obelisk because he for some reason suspects that it might be some kind of a defense mechanism. Down on the planet, Miramani and Kirk have their wedding, with one little incident. Salish tries to murder Kirk with his knife. He fails, but he now knows that Kirk is a god that bleeds. McCoy now is worried because Spock is locked for days in his room. He refuses to eat or sleep. He is just working on the obelisk. When McCoy orders him to rest, Spock pretends to go to sleep, but as soon as McCoy leaves the room, he returns back to work. Not sure where the logic is in that, but okay. Kirk and Miramani are having adult fun in the woods, where he finds out that Kirk has dreams about a wigwam flying in the skies filled with people he knows, but Miramani tells him something more important. She is pregnant with his son, and Kirk tells her that he has never been so happy. Okay, they're so cute. I bet their relationship will have a wonderful ending. Later, the sky goes dark and everybody demands that he goes to do his work, but he of course has no clue what to do. so all of the tribe members start throwing rocks at him. When his wife tries to help him, they start to throw rocks at her too. Well, they said they wanted to get stoned tonight, but I don't think this is what they had in mind. Spock has meanwhile deciphered that the weird signs on the temple are not letters, but musical notes, and somehow by watching B-roll footage of the obelisk he was able to decipher that it was built by a race called the Preservers. Another thing on my huge list of things which make no sense to me, they beam down to the exact same place where the stoning was going on. The natives of course quickly ran away, so when Nurse Chapel beamed down they could make at least Kirk wake up, but he still had no clue who he is. So another strange thing happened. Usually Spock thinks he is safe to do a mind meld, and McCoy usually thinks that he's crazy. Now Spock asks McCoy what does he think about the mind meld, and McCoy gives him his okay. Shouldn't the dialogue be switched? Then they do the mind meld, and it's a completely different mind meld than the ones we have seen before. Another thing on my long list of annoying things. When it works, Kirk gets his memory back, he remembers what he said to get inside, and Spock finds out, somehow, which buttons to push to force the obelisk to emit the blue beam which deflects the asteroid. So, some new planet will be destroyed instead of this one. Hooray? Well, at least that's not our problem anymore. Kirk now runs to his wife, but McCoy says that he can't help her. So the ending of this episode is Miramani dying in Kirk's hands. Well, this was a weird episode. I truly like the character moments. I like the relationship between Miramani and Kirk, and also the relationship between Spock and McCoy. I think it's a wonderfully written love story, and I say it as a person who usually hates love stories. In my video about the Enterprise incident, I said that I didn't like the relationship between the Romulan commander and Spock. I thought it was underdeveloped and way too quick. This relationship is much better, but as I said, there are way too many things which bother me and prevent me from enjoying this fully. I don't want to repeat myself endlessly, so I jump directly to the rating part. On my typical scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is complete garbage, 5 is average and 10 is a masterpiece, I would give this episode 7 out of 10. Definitely one of the better season 3 episodes, but you can already feel the lowering quality of the stories, even if you ignore Spock's brain. But as always, these were just my opinions. Feel free to let me know what do you think about this episode down in the comment section. Did you love it, hate it, or did you think it's just average? If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. If you have some free time, check any of the other videos on my channel. You should see some links on screen right now. Thank you very much for watching, and see you very soon. Bye.